Have you ever stopped to wonder why your vote might feel more like a drop in the ocean, rather than the tidal wave of democracy it's supposed to be? Today, we're tackling a hot-button issue, the Electoral College. Is it a relic of the past or a necessary part of our democracy? Buckle up, because by the end of this video you might just question everything you thought you knew about how we elect our leaders. First off, let's break it down. The Electoral College was established in 1787. Yeah, that's right. Over 230 years ago, the Founding Fathers were worried about direct democracy leading to chaos. So, they created this system where electors chosen by each state cast votes for the president. But here's the kicker. It's not a one-to-one relationship. In fact, 5 times in our history a candidate has won the presidency without winning the popular vote. Mind-blowing, right? So, is the Electoral College an outdated concept? You bet your bottom dollar. We live in a digital age where information is at our fingertips. Social media lets us connect with millions, yet our voting process still clings to an 18th century framework. But why? This leads us to a bigger question. Does the American public's vote even count? Some say it's just a formality, a facade that masks the real power players behind the curtain. Are we just puppets in a political play? Let's stir the pot a bit. Supporters of the Electoral College argue it protects smaller states from being overshadowed by the populous ones. But come on, in a nation where people can drive across states in just a few hours, does that logic still hold? Critics argue that it's unfair, disenfranchising voters in states with a clear majority. Ever felt like your vote didn't matter because you lived in a safe state? Trust me, you're not alone. Now let's dive into a critical issue, the Electoral College and voter suppression. Historically, certain groups have been systematically marginalized, and the Electoral College can exacerbate these disparities. For example, in states with strict voter ID laws and limited polling places, minority communities often face more significant hurdles to casting their votes. This isn't just a historical issue, it's happening today. Footage of long lines at polling stations, particularly in minority neighborhoods, highlights the ongoing struggle. And when these votes are funneled through the Electoral College, the impact of suppression is magnified. It's not just about numbers, it's about voices being silenced. Now let's turn our attention to the role of swing states in the Electoral College. These states play a pivotal role in determining the outcome of presidential elections, often becoming the battlegrounds where the fiercest political fights occur. Swing states, also known as battleground states, are those where the election outcome is uncertain, making them the primary focus for candidates. These states can swing either way, Republican or Democrat, and their unpredictability makes them incredibly valuable in the race to secure the necessary electoral votes. States like Florida, Ohio, and Pennsylvania often receive disproportionate attention, with candidates pouring in resources and tailoring their messages to win over these crucial votes. Campaigns spend millions of dollars on advertisements, rallies, and grassroots efforts in these states, hoping to sway undecided voters and secure a victory. In contrast, states that are solidly red or blue often see little campaign activity, leaving many voters feeling ignored and their issues unaddressed. These states are considered safe for one party or the other, leading candidates to focus their efforts elsewhere. This focus on swing states can skew national policies, as candidates prioritize the interests of a few states over the needs of the entire country. Policies and promises are often tailored to appeal to voters in these key states, sometimes at the expense of broader national concerns. Imagine the frustration of voters in states that are consistently overlooked, knowing their voices are less likely to impact the election outcome. This can lead to feelings of disenfranchisement and a sense that their votes do not matter as much as those in swing states. As we delve deeper into this topic, consider the broader implications of this system on our democracy. The focus on swing states raises questions about the fairness and equity of our electoral process. How does this focus on swing states shape the political landscape, and what does it mean for the principle of one person, one vote? The disproportionate influence of swing states can lead to a situation where the voices of a few outweigh the voices of the many. Let's take a closer look at some real-world examples to understand the profound impact of this phenomenon. In recent elections, the outcomes in swing states have often determined the overall winner, highlighting their critical role in the electoral process. By examining these examples, we can gain a better understanding of how swing states shape the strategies and priorities of presidential campaigns. Historically, the importance of swing states has been evident in numerous elections. For instance, the 2000 election saw Florida become the decisive state, with its electoral votes ultimately determining the winner. Similarly, in 2016, states like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania played crucial roles in the final outcome. The focus on swing states also affects voter behavior and engagement. Voters in these states are often more politically active and engaged, knowing that their votes carry significant weight. This heightened engagement can lead to higher voter turnout and more robust political discourse. However, this system also has its drawbacks. The intense focus on swing states can lead to a neglect of issues that are important to voters in non-swing states. This can create a sense of imbalance and inequality in the political process, where the needs and concerns of some voters are prioritized over others. As we continue to explore the role of swing states, it's important to consider potential reforms to the electoral system. Some suggest moving towards a popular vote system, where every vote carries equal weight, regardless of the state. Others propose proportional allocation of electoral votes to better reflect the will of the voters. Ultimately, the role of swing states in the Electoral College is a complex and multifaceted issue. It highlights the strengths and weaknesses of our current electoral system and raises important questions about fairness, representation, and democracy. By understanding the impact of swing states, we can better appreciate the intricacies of the electoral process and consider ways to improve it for future elections. Now, let's delve into another crucial aspect: campaign funding. This is a topic that often stirs intense debate and raises important questions about the nature of our political system. Campaign funding is the lifeblood of modern political campaigns, providing the necessary resources for candidates to communicate their messages, mobilize supporters, and ultimately, win elections. The influence of money in politics cannot be overstated. It permeates every level of the electoral process, from local races to presidential campaigns. Fundraising events where politicians speak to potential donors are a common sight. These events often result in large checks being handed over to candidates, fueling their campaign efforts. Political ads, which are a significant expense, are meticulously planned and filmed to sway public opinion. Candidates often rely on substantial financial backing to fuel their campaigns, especially in swing states where every vote counts. These states can make or break an election, and the competition is fierce. Campaign rallies in these crucial areas are frequent, and political canvassing in neighborhoods becomes a critical strategy to secure votes. The financial resources available to a campaign can significantly impact its ability to reach and persuade voters in these pivotal regions. This funding determines the reach of their messages, the scale of their advertising, and the breadth of their ground operations. Television ads, billboards on highways, and volunteers making phone calls are all part of a well-funded campaign's arsenal. The more money a campaign has, the more extensive and effective these efforts can be. This financial muscle allows candidates to dominate the airwaves, flood social media, and maintain a visible presence in key areas. However, this reliance on money creates disparities. Not all candidates have access to the same level of financial support. There is a stark contrast between campaigns funded by small donations from grassroots supporters and those backed by large contributions from wealthy donors. This disparity can create an uneven playing field, where well-funded candidates have a significant advantage over their less affluent opponents. Wealthy donors and special interest groups gain significant sway over candidates, potentially skewing policies and priorities. When politicians rely heavily on large donations, they may feel beholden to the interests of their benefactors. This can lead to a situation where the needs and concerns of ordinary citizens are overshadowed by the agendas of powerful donors and lobbyists. Meetings with business leaders and lobbyists become a regular part of the political landscape, further entrenching the influence of money in politics. Think about the billions spent on campaigns each election cycle. These staggering sums are meticulously tracked in campaign finance spreadsheets, revealing the vast amounts of money flowing into the political system. Large fundraising events are a key component of this financial machinery, where candidates and their teams work tirelessly to secure the funds needed to sustain their campaigns. This financial arms race raises questions about the true nature of our democracy. Debates about the role of money in politics are ongoing, with many arguing that the current system undermines the democratic process. Protesters advocating for campaign finance reform highlight the need for change, while political analysts dissect the impact of campaign funding on elections and governance. Are elections about who has the best vision for the country, or who has the deepest pockets? This question lies at the heart of the debate over campaign funding. As candidates debate on stage, the shadow of their fundraising efforts looms large. Visual comparisons of campaign budgets reveal the stark differences in financial resources, prompting further reflection on the fairness and integrity of the electoral process. As we explore this further, consider the implications of such a system. How does the need for substantial funding affect the integrity of our elections and the accountability of our elected officials? The pressure to raise money can lead to compromises and ethical dilemmas, challenging the principles of transparency and accountability that are essential to a healthy democracy. How does the need for substantial funding affect the integrity of our elections and the accountability of our elected officials, the pressure to raise money can lead to compromises and ethical dilemmas, challenging the principles of transparency and accountability that are essential to a healthy democracy. Discussions about the integrity of elections and political accountability are crucial in understanding the broader impact of campaign funding. Let's take a closer look at how campaign funding shapes the political landscape. By mapping the influence of campaign finance, we can gain insights into the power dynamics at play. Political landscape analysis and studies on the impact of campaign funding provide valuable information on how money influences political outcomes and governance. The role of money in politics is complex and multifaceted. Campaign rallies with large crowds, fundraising dinners with politicians, and the production of political ads are all visible manifestations of this influence. As we continue to examine this issue, it is essential to consider the broader implications for our democratic system and the ways in which we can strive for a more equitable and transparent political process. But wait, let's get personal for a second. Think about the emotional weight of your vote. Each election, we're told it's our chance to make a difference. Yet, the reality of the Electoral College can leave many feeling hopeless and disillusioned. What if you could vote and it actually counted? Imagine a world where every vote directly influences the outcome. Now that's something to get excited about. As we look to the future, the fate of the Electoral College remains a contentious issue. This institution, which has been a cornerstone of American presidential elections since the founding of the Republic, is now at a crossroads. The debate surrounding its relevance and effectiveness has intensified in recent years, with many questioning whether it still serves the best interests of a modern, diverse electorate. Will it adapt to the changing dynamics of our society, or will it be abolished in favor of a more direct voting system? The question is not just about mechanics, but about the very principles of representation and fairness. Advocates for change argue that a direct popular vote would ensure that every citizen's vote carries equal weight, thereby enhancing the democratic process. Various proposals have been floated, from the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact to constitutional amendments. The National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, for instance, seeks to ensure that the candidate who receives the most votes nationwide becomes president, without the need for a constitutional amendment. On the other hand, some propose more radical changes, such as completely abolishing the Electoral College through a constitutional amendment. Each of these ideas aims to address the perceived inequities and enhance the democratic process. Proponents argue that these changes would make the system more transparent and equitable, ensuring that every vote truly counts. Critics, however, warn of unintended consequences and the potential for new forms of imbalance and unfairness. However, changing such a long-standing institution is no small feat. The Electoral College is deeply embedded in the American political system, and any significant alteration would require overcoming substantial legal and political hurdles. Historical precedents show that amending the Constitution is a complex and arduous process, often requiring years of debate and negotiation. It requires widespread consensus and political will, elements that are often in short supply. Achieving the necessary support from both the public and lawmakers is a daunting challenge. Political polarization and differing regional interests further complicate the path to reform, making it difficult to find common ground. As we ponder these possibilities, one thing is certain: the debate over the Electoral College is far from over. This ongoing discussion reflects broader questions about the nature of American democracy and how best to ensure that it remains responsive and representative. The future of the Electoral College will likely continue to be a hotly contested issue in the years to come. The future holds many uncertainties, but also the potential for transformative change. As society evolves, so too must our institutions. Whether through incremental adjustments or sweeping reforms, the goal remains the same: to create a more just and equitable system that truly reflects the will of the people. The journey ahead may be challenging, but it is also filled with opportunities for progress and innovation. So, what do you think? Is the Electoral College a necessary safeguard or just an outdated institution that needs a major overhaul? Comment below with your thoughts. Let's get this debate rolling. Thank you for spending a little bit of time in Prime World. Learn more fun facts and hot topic issues by tuning into the channel regularly. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and please, somebody check on the whereabouts of Lorenzo Lamas.